Welcome back to another edition of Killer Cuts, or shall I say chapter. In fact, 20 chapters in, here we are talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer, the 1997 version, on our way in to talking about the upcoming I Know What You Did Last Summer requel, I guess we'll say. We'll talk about that in a little bit after we get through this stuff. This is Killer Cuts. We'll be back with you in just a moment. What are you waiting for, huh? The very famous line from I Know What You Did Last Summer. It became one of the biggest, I guess, memes and everything over time. I Know What You Did Last Summer is the 1997 slasher film from writer Kevin Williamson, based on a 1973 novel by Lois Duncan. This movie ended up kind of being one of the big slasher films of the late 1990s and the big spike in horror films that we had, especially slasher films that came about after Scream. Kevin Williamson obviously tied to Scream. Here's an interesting thing before we even kick off. Kevin Williamson wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer prior to writing Scream, but it was the popularity of Scream that actually led to him getting the ability to put I Know What You Did Last Summer out. Astrid, I know this one goes back quite a ways. I don't know if you've watched it more recently or not, but curious, when you did see I Know What You Did Last Summer for the very first time, your thoughts on it were?
I really enjoyed it. I could see why you could see the connections between Scream and this one. You could kind of see how it came from the same person, if that makes sense. But I really enjoyed it. I like that it was more of a smaller group, and it's a younger audience as well. It's another thing. So it was very interesting in that point of view. It's like, and then not only that, but seeing the fact that we have Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle Gellar here together too. It was like, I love seeing them together. It's the fact that they did this movie together, and then Scooby Doo's another one they did together as well. Jennifer Love Hewitt, who I really adore, and I still watch to this day, in 911 recently. So seeing so many people that you enjoy watching, just I it's one of those things. It feels, I don't want to say weird, but I'm so used to seeing them in a certain way. But then you think about them in a horror movie, and it just feels like I couldn't believe they were in a horror movie to begin with. Um, and also Ryan Phillippe, which is the other one, which I always think about Cruel Intentions when it comes to it. I don't even think if I don't know what you did last summer, but this is one of those, to me, that was such a very interesting storyline. And like you said, just thinking about the fact that he wrote it, but it was a part of Scream what led to doing this one to begin with. So it just shows how Scream is always kind of like that domino effect for Kevin Williamson.
It really was. I mean, again, without Scream, they might not have ever seen this one hit the big screens at all, kind of thing. That's what put people in interest of the screenplay itself. As for the connection to the novel, first of all, Lois Duncan hates I Know What You Did Last Summer, the horror movie version, because if anybody's actually read the novel I Know What You Did Last Summer, it is almost absolutely not even closely related in terms of the screenplay that Kevin Williamson wrote. It's more of a bit of a thriller. It doesn't fall in the same vein. It's not really the same characters or anything like that either. It is a far fetch from what it is. As you said, the cast, absolute banger. This also featured Anne Heche, which one of the things I will say is that Anne Heche, I thought there was going to be more depth to her in this movie when they announced her, especially being that she was kind of at a peak point in her acting career at that point in time, where her being tied to this was kind of especially for the time, was the more known name going into this movie. And you kind of think, how's her role going to play out? And it almost felt like they had to find something. That was the one thing I'll say. It was like, do you really need that role in there? It was almost like they were filling time more than anything between some of the more storyline. I wish that she would have had a little bit more play, at least on the reveal, or the, some sort of connection to a deeper connection anyway to what we had for content here. And then going into this, like you kind of get that feel of Scream again. Like it's a covered character. You don't know who's behind it. Is it the person that they hit with the vehicle and then dump the body? And that's the funny part. It's become a big joke, especially in the 90s. It's like they run somebody over and the immediate reaction is, what are we going to do? We can't go to the police. They're not going to believe us. We've been okay. Like, so all this is set for you've been drinking, you're stupid kids, you panicking because you've just hit somebody. But then essentially before they even go to supposedly dump the body, he comes back to life. And they still proceed with the dumping of the body into the water and everything before we get 1 year later and the notes start coming about, I know what you did last summer, and somebody has seen them, somebody watched them, somebody knows all about it. And in the end, we find out it's Ben the fisherman, who we never really saw much about. He's just a straight up fisherman guy, and that's who knows what they did last summer. I will say I will take the reveal of Ben the fisherman over Benson, or Ben's son, which was the reveal in the second one. We will pretend like that didn't exist, and I hope that they will erase it from all memory with the requel coming up. But yeah, that reveal, how did the reveal work out for you in this movie?
Yeah, this is one of those. I'm trying to remember what recent we were talking about that. It was one of those things like oh, like drop, for example, like the people that were behind it is not who I thought it was gonna be at the end. So it just, when you're thinking about it, it just, the movies, it has the action parts of it, but then once you get to the review, it just feels like anticlimactic at the end. And even after you have such a fun movie, and this is how it ends, it just, I guess, disappointing at the same time when you have such fun watching it from beginning up until that part that happened there. That's the only like downfall for me when it comes to this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's not the greatest of reveals, and it's something I hope that they're taking a look at going into this supposed requel. I'm assuming it's a requel from what we've seen with the trailers and everything like that. But either way, I know what you did last summer. It was kind of, I don't want to say critically panned. It was kind of a mixed bag when it comes to liking or not liking it. You know, on the side of people who appreciate horror, appreciate slasher, they like a little bit of the throwback feel. You don't always have to have a whodunit type movie, but this one did kind of give you that suspicion of a whodunit, and then when you find out whodunit, it's kind of like, okay. But when you go to make sequels from it, you either have to stick to that formula of he's your guy and he's unstoppable like a Jason or a Michael or something like that, and play on that mythology, or you have to go down the path that you're going to have copycat killers and make the reveal worthwhile, make it a good reason why they would still know what you did last summer, so to speak. And that was the other beef I had with the sequel, the fact that they keep using last summer at this point in time. I mean, this is not like 2 summers ago is what we should be going on if we want to do proper English around here. But either way, the movie was very successful in terms of money making. Movie was originally made for $17 million, which doesn't seem like a whole heck of a lot these days, and wasn't tons then either, in terms of what movies were being made for. 125 million worldwide that this little movie ended up taking in. So very successful in terms of the amount that it brought in. But it was a cultural thing. It's the 90s needed certain slasher films to rise. That was one of the big ones as well. It also would have been the thing that helped spawn urban legends into something that hit theaters as well too. And then you had all your direct to video type releases that came about around it. There was a craze about it and everybody wanted to jump on board, but it's to me, I do adore this movie. Again, I love the cast. I think they're fantastic. I do want to talk about the death scenes, and one in particular, the Sarah Michelle Gellar's, while it's not the most gory death in this movie, her scene where she's running through the parade and the escaping and everything like that, I think is one of the best directed pieces in 90s horror films. I thought that was such a nice touch to this whole thing. And I do like the fact that when we do get death scenes, the atmosphere and the tone of them and stuff like that, it is creepy enough. There is no lightheartedness when it comes to I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like if you're comparing up against Scream has that kind of lightheartedness. There's people making jokes and stuff like that. There was no joking with I Know What You Did Last Summer. It was a lot more dark feeling. So your thoughts, favorite kind of death scenes in this, or what stood out for you?
Yeah, I think that one for sure. It's one, and then now that I do spark my visual here, thinking of like the parade. It reminds me a lot of Thanksgiving as well, which I didn't think of making that connection up until now either. But I feel like yeah, that's the most like one that really stands out, the most creative one out of them all. But it made me think of something though. I don't know if you had this question in mind, so I figured I'll ask. Being that it's a recall and following the rules that we get from Screen about recalls. You think we get any legacies that are getting killed? Do we get Freddie Prinze Jr. dying, or do we get Jennifer Love Hewitt, or do we get both?
Well, I I want to go a different direction when it comes to the requel on this one. Not necessarily that we're going to get the death, but what makes us believe say that Freddie Prinze Jr.'s Ray isn't the guy that's behind it this time around? I mean, he went through it. We don't know what's happened in his life. I mean, again,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we'll get an explanation on what he's been doing all this time. Maybe we won't.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like from the trailer, and again, this is where trailers can get you, is that this seems more like a whodunit. This seems more like a
Mm-hmm.
copycat killer, somebody that's carrying this on, sort of thing, as opposed to necessarily this is Ben again this many years later or anything of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost from what I've seen, it's like Ray seems to just kind of like it is Ray, isn't it? I'm pretty sure his character's name is Ray.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ray.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he kind of just he seems like he's so willing to show up and help. Where when they show the scene where they have to go try to find Julie
Mm-hmm.
to bring Julie back into this, it's almost like she's more reluctant, like, stay away. I
Mm-hmm.
went through this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be a part of it. And Ray's just like, yeah, let's go. Come on. I've been through this. I want to be the star. And I almost kind of ponder, I'm like, could they
Mm-hmm.
dare to go the direction of Ray has fallen so far from grace over the years, his mind is gone, and that this is his legacy now. This is the only way he can be remembered, is to carry on what he went through. It's a take. I don't know if it's the right take,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something. I'm so concerned, and my biggest concern going into this is that I don't want them to just come up with a cheesy reveal that doesn't make sense. The
Mm-hmm.
reveal for me has to be, there has to be a connection to something to do with the original. Otherwise, why the legacy characters? If there's no connection to the legacy characters, it's like you're just bringing them back for the cameo, for appeasing
Mm-hmm.
fans. It's like, wonderful. If that was the case, why didn't you just go for a straight on reboot? Because it's been so very long. This is not like a Scream situation where you've had 4 movies previous to it that you need to carry the series on. They could have gone full reboot. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they're going requel makes me have a lot of questions about who that killer is and why 28 years later, literally 28, right? 29, yeah, pretty much. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So 28 years later, we have another I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the legacy character's involvement in it. It's kind of makes me question, okay, where's the
Mm-hmm.
connection? What is going on and who is behind this? Because if you give me another Ben movie or another Benson movie or something cheesy along that line, I will be all out on anything further from I Know What You Did Last Summer. So you're teetering because they've
Mm-hmm.
had one good movie in this entire franchise. Even the Prime TV show that came out about it failed this
Mm-hmm.
franchise. So
Yeah.
please, this trailer has got my hopes up, and I hope I'm not shooting for the stars. But I want to know your thoughts on that as well too, with the rules of the requel. Your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
going into this, like, what are you thinking?
You made me think about it because I like how I keep making connections to Scream because the way you talked about Julie being reluctant gives me that Sidney Prescott kind of vibe of like I don't want to be involved. I've been through this, so many times. But the Ray one, it almost feels like a Dewey sort of situation where he's like, I don't mind helping out, even if it costs me my life later. So I don't know. I feel like it's tough because I wouldn't want them to get killed either one because if what they decide to do another one after depending on the success of this one, and I feel like especially lately they can see how a lot of these movies have a lot of nostalgia because people are around our age range when watching it when they were younger and now they're able to watch in the movie theater, so you kind of see like it happened with Final Destination, for example. We haven't had one in a while, but then the moment you get that nostalgia feeling, oh, we have another movie back, look how much money it made. And I feel like to me in a way they would kind of be, I don't want to say trouble, but it would kind of feel that way if they decide to kill one of them because you could easily use them for the next one and use that nostalgia feel. for the next one as well. And it's one of those things that we have mentioned with Scream as well later on, is like we don't want those legacy characters to really be killed, just because we're thinking of like they can use them later as bait in a way, if that makes sense. So it's like it has to be told, because I wouldn't want either one of them to really die. I feel like I would like to see them continue on and make another movie if this one is successful. But I don't know. I just, and then seeing the cast, I was like, I love Austin Nichols. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna suffer when he gets killed, if he does too. Um, that's another one that if it happens, I don't want to see it. But yeah, I feel like I wouldn't for now, based on the recall and everything, and how the nostalgia feeling of it, and the way the horror movies have been working on lately, I wouldn't kill either one of them.
That's the thing. It's like, with Scream, I know I've been a big advocate for, you need to get rid of a legacy character because it adds to the stakes. But I'm only saying that because we're 5, 6. Like, come on already. Like, it's okay now. With I Know What You Did Last Summer, you've had one movie in 1997 that did well, and you've only got 2 legacy characters that you can bring back at all, period. I don't think that this move would be the right one to get rid of either of them, unless, again, like I said, if Ray gets revealed to be some sort of new psychotic breakdown. That I could maybe get behind if it's done right. Then I'll say done right, because if it comes across cheesy and not done right, then no thanks. But I really am hopeful from what I've seen. The trailers have me hopeful. The cast looks really interesting. It's funny you bring up Austin Nichols, because I still don't see a list name of his character in the movie. Like, there's a few people they haven't revealed names for, so I start to wonder, are they connected? Like, seeing as it's taking place in the same town, are they distantly related to? And it doesn't even have to be Julie or Ray. Like, at the same time, you could be distantly related to somebody else in the movie, the original movie, such as
cousin at least.
Barry and Helen. Like, I mean, I'm sure that they're going to want to mention them at some point in time, because if we're still playing on the first one being canon to this one, then that would be the case. I do know originally, I think the plan was for this to be a straight up sequel or a straight up reboot initially, kind of thing, but then they decided to go along the path of requel and using the legacy characters, which I do think in a sense they need, because with it being 28 years since the original, there's going to be a lot of young horror fans that will look at this trailer and go, ooh, this looks great, I want to see this, but have no knowledge of the original I Know What You Did Last Summer and everything. But you can get those fans like ourselves that it's like, all right, like, I haven't seen, like, I know you said you watched 911. I literally have not seen Jennifer Love Hewitt probably since these movies. That's how long it's been since I've watched something with her in. And Freddie Prinze Jr., last time I probably saw him was on an edition of Monday Night Raw or something like that at this point in time. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the nostalgia version. I'm excited about the new direction look of it. Again, the scenes that they showed in the trailer, like the guy getting harpooned, I was just like, yes, it's something different on the kill mode too as well. I'm like, this looks absolutely perfect. It looks like there's higher stakes. It looks a little bit more polished, but at the same time, it looks like the direction of it will probably fit beautifully with being one. Again, we were talking off screen. It almost reminds me, I think this is going to erase everything that's been done after it, very much the way that Halloween did when they did their reset and stuff like that. And I hope it does, because again, like, I'm a big advocate for, I defend a lot of really bad horror movie sequels, but I Know What You Did Last Summer, the sequel is not only bad, it's almost like borderline racist at times when you go back on it, like Jack Black playing a Jamaican guy and stuff like that. It's just, it's so awful.
I forget that happened.
It's so dated at this point. Like, it's not good, kind of thing.
That thing in Men in Black they used to erase your mind. That's what I do with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
That didn't happen. Don't worry about it.
What never happened. That's good.
What sequel is that one? I've never heard of one.
Please, requel, erase our minds and give us something that we can erase the past other than the original movie, because it's the one that worked. So yeah, this is coming up very soon. By the time this hits the channel, we'll be about a week removed from I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I believe that just means we have to go and review I Know What You Did Last Summer. After this, we'll both end up seeing it. We'll both be back with a review here on the channel with another chapter of Killer Cuts. Hopefully nothing but positive things to talk about at that point in time. And so much more coming up. We got, we're pre-recording these. We've got horror movies coming out almost every single weekend, it feels like, at the moment. So there's just this smorgasbord of horror to enjoy, and I hope that everybody goes out and takes in as much as they can, because horror is kicking ass in 2025. But with that said, is there anything else you wanted to add there, Astrid, or it's time to wrap it up?
And so the only other person that I'm scared about is for Lola, because I know her from the summer. It's I'm Pretty. I've never seen her in a horror movie before. I don't know about that one though. I am curious to see how she's gonna be.
That's okay. Yeah, I know of that show. I've never watched that show. So, and again, and she's another one that doesn't have a character name listed yet. So
no, she does. It says
or
Maya.
does she? Oh, okay.
But it's mostly from what I've seen. The people that don't have names have been guys so far. If what I notice is 3 guys that don't have names on them.
Yeah, like Billy Campbell, I don't see listed. Austin Nichols, I don't, and then Nicholas Chavez, I believe, is another one that I don't see a name for as well too.
No, I do see his. I don't see Billy Campbell, Austin Nichols, or Todd. I don't know how to say his last name.
Todd. Oh, I don't even see where I'm looking. I don't even see Todd listed. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, before we ruin anything for ourselves prior to going into I Know What You Did Last Summer, let's stop reading and let's hope that the movie ends up being as fantastic as we want it to be. Astrid, why don't you let the lovely people know where they can find you outside of Killer Cuts?
You can find me every Tuesday on Taking Over with OLED at Fries as we talk about NXT with the Great American Bash. I think it must have happened at the time this goes on, or maybe around that time, so we'll see. Other than that, you can find me my Twitter, Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram and Threads, Astrid Pizarro 20. And if you're here, you're most likely on my YouTube channel, so hit subscribe and hit the like button too.
Wonderful. As for myself, ticker down below is where you can find me for shows I got coming up. As always, Thursday nights with Bob Smokes doing Ring Respect Radio. Sundays on the channel, it's Point of View, where we talk about the weekend sports. That's at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can also find me Sunday afternoons, bringing you to 30 years later. Does it still rock? I go back on albums that I grew up in my, I guess that would have been bored. Yeah, on the verge of high schoolish time. Anyway, 30 years ago, I listened to some cool music. Does it still rock? Find out with my video series here on the channel. And that channel is OLE Podcast. You can find out a lot of great stuff here from all over the world. It's all pop culture related, wrestling, movies, music, television. We've got it all for you here on OLE Podcast. You can find us across all social media as well as Twitch and YouTube. We appreciate you to like, follow, subscribe, turn on the notification bell here on YouTube, and leave us a comment. We're always checking them, always looking to get back to you. And hey, maybe you've got a request. Is there something that Astrid and I should talk about here on Killer Cuts that we haven't covered yet? Let us know in that comment section down below, and maybe leave us a comment that we'll feature on our next episode of Killer Cuts. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in.